Hey, I've got a new light that we're testing out. This is a brand called Dracast, and it's one of their new lines called CINERAY. And this is the, forgive me for my notes, this is the SMD LED 700. It's around 800 bucks complete without the light stand, but with all the rest of the components I'm going to show you. Here's one of the things I really like about this light. Now this is going to be almost 30 inches wide and 9 inches tall. They're all COB style LEDs, which is terrific because that gives us the nice flat, wider angle of view. Perfect, it's what we want. Also, very lightweight. We're talking a really nice aluminum back piece that this is made out of that is heatsink, and that's why it's the shape that it is. Of course, the color is really nice, looks great for clients. It comes with the barn doors built in. That comes with it, which is nice. Great way to protect your LEDs. It also has some really nice hardware here. I mean, these are nice lockdowns, nice and snug. Got no issue whatsoever with this at all when it comes to these parts. Here's one of the things that I did notice right out of the box that I thought was a bit of a problem. And I have noticed some quality control issues with Dracast products in the past, and this one is no exception. You'll notice the plexi, it does end up being bowed. So this is for a client job of mine. So before it gets installed in my client's space, this is going to have to be modified. And I'm just going to use a little Dremel. I'm going to make these grooves a little longer so that this fits nicer. And it's actually a really nice diffusion material, and that's how I'm going to use it. There you go, with the diffuser. Okay? Now, here's the good news. The good news is, power-wise, if you were to buy this, and there are versions that are brighter and versions that are darker. This also is the bi-color version, so it's adjustable. I'll show you how that works in a second. It's supposed to go from 5600K down to 3200K. And down at the bottom, I measured and calculated both. I used two different methods. It does get down to 32, right? It's actually 3180, which that's close enough. However, a lot of bicolor LEDs have a hard time getting up to the specs that they rate, and this one says 5600. I can only get it as high as 5320. Now I do have two of these. I bought at the same time, and the numbers are identical. It does have a little bit of a magenta problem when you just run the tungsten version, but the daylight is nice and clean. Now, output power. I measure 3 feet away, exactly 3 feet away. And I'm using ISO 400 for photographers to understand how much light output you can have with this diffuser that comes with it now. I'm measuring 3 feet away, 60th of a second at ISO 400, all the way down at the bottom is f2 and 1/10. So that goes nice and low for those of you that use high ISOs, dark interior stuff. You want to hide this behind something, or if you're going to use it nice and close to your subject, terrific, right? This would be a great tool to work with because it's so lightweight, very easy to position. Nice. Now, up on the higher end, when you crank it up to full power, you can expect ISO 400, 60th of a second shutter speed, 3 feet away, f11.0. So that is pretty darn bright, so no problem there. Now, because this costs $800, it comes with all the stuff that you see here except for the stand, of course. The light stand has nothing to do with it. So there are 3 components. One is the light itself here, and the barn doors are, you can take them off if you want to, but they're very secure the way they're put in. Really nice hardware here, nice snug downs. The connection on the back for your controller is really nice right there. So the controller is going to have a couple things on it. It's going to have your ability to turn up your daylight LED or your tungsten LED. Kind of smart, right? Or if you want full power, bring them both up. Well, the controller itself is marked off with, a third of a rotation, that's minimum to maximum. That's not really the case. It's like a rotation and a half is really the range of that. Kind of weird, but whatever. This box is a little thin, but I'm okay with it. Yeah, I'm all right with it. Now on the back, here's something I think is really brilliant. Put the battery on the back of the controller. not on the back of the light. 'Cause why would you want to do that if you're hanging it over something? Why not, right? Terrific. Got a little Velcro connector here that will allow you to hang this anywhere you need to. It's not very heavy. However, it does have kind of a short wire that goes to the power transformer. See it? This end plugs into the wall, so this is the AC wall power to DC converter, but it's on a short little 2.5, 3 foot connector here. It's not very heavy, so I'm not worried about this breaking, but just seems a little odd because this is probably going to be on a light stand. Now, I kind of get the feeling that this really isn't made for photographers, and Dracast, I don't really think is into the photographer market as much as they're into the cine marketplace, but this will work out for a photographer, and if you wanted to, you could easily put some diffusion material here, and you could get yourself a really nice piece, right? Could work out great. Now, this is going to use the Cine style batteries. I've got the V-mount battery here. Now, they're kind of expensive, and most photographers aren't going to buy those and buy the chargers because they're expensive. It's a little disappointing that they don't have the Sony NP camcorder, right? You could get 3 or 4 of those on there, and those would be something that a photographer might have around. But if you want to use the battery, go right ahead. Now, here's something that's kind of cool. You would just turn it off, and if you wanted to use the battery, you'd flip it to the right, and you'd take the battery, and then if you had it plugged in, you'd flip it to the left, and it would go to your AC, right? Pretty smart. I think that's ingenious. Also, I do like the nice heavy connectors that they've got everywhere here. So, am I worried about durability? Not really. It's very lightweight, as we said a little earlier. It transports very well. I've moved it around now a couple of different places just to see how much it can take vibration and getting thumped around, because it is going to be installed into one of my clients' public spots. Also, I've had this on now for 4 days, maybe 5 days, and continuously not turning off, because I want to make sure that the color is stable and that the power supply is good, nothing gets too hot, because once it gets installed, I have to walk away from it. It's done. I'm going to put it into one of my clients' spots where it's actually going to be overhead, so it's going to need to be mounted by union electricians, and they're expensive and they do a great job, and I want to make sure that when they install it, bam, it's installed and it's done. So the Dracast gets a thumbs up for me on value. I think it's well worth $800 for the bicolor. I think the knob controller dimmer thing is really not for photographers. It's maybe more for cine folks, but the build quality of the rest of the stuff kind of makes up for it. So there are plenty of things that I like about it, plenty of things I don't like about it. Bottom line is, I'm not buying this for my stuff. I'm buying this for a client job that I'm working on, and it's going to be perfect for that. It really is going to be great for that. So it's Crockett here saying, take a look at this if you get a chance up close and personal to take a look at it. If you just want to go ahead and buy it, go right ahead. I think this could make a nice horizontal main light. A second one could go vertical for either a background or a hair light or a fill light right next to the camera. Or if you needed 2 of them stacked one on top of each other, I think it could work out really, really well. No kidding. So also, doesn't make any noise. That's very important. No fan, no nothing. I've put a blanket on it and turned it up to full power for 3 hours to see what happens when it gets hot. I haven't found a thermal cutoff for it, but I'll bet you there's one somewhere. And if anybody can find it, it's me. So Crockett here saying, if you get a chance to take a look at this, go ahead. But I'm not giving it my full ring of endorsement here. I've got a couple holdbacks, as you can probably tell, right? Okay. Thanks a lot. Have a great one. See you. More information on if there's a problem with this light on our LinkedIn page, as well as the PixelCoaches Facebook page. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye.